Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Test Tube Plus for episode 3 of 5 on porn, or erotica, or pornography, or whatever you want to call it. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the porn industry. Make sure you check out yesterday and the day before's episode about how pornography affects your brain and how long it's stuck with humanity, because it's been pretty sticky. But we're talking about the evolving porn industry today. Some say that porn is just a form of prostitution. You know, the California Supreme Court doesn't agree with those people, but there are people who say that. In the 1980s, prosecutors argued that a porn producer, Harold Freeman, was guilty of pimping. Think about it. He hired women to perform sexual acts in his porn films. This is discussed in the 1988 California Supreme Court case, The People vs. Freeman. And the court ruled that anti-pandering, which was the legal name for anti-pimping laws, were not applicable to pornography. The reason being that Freeman was not paying his performers for the purpose of sexual arousal or gratification, but to act. Pornography is not sexual acts in the way that prostitution is, because pornography is sex theater. It's adult entertainment. They call it that for a reason. The court also said that applying anti-pandering laws in this case would infringe on their First Amendment rights. They were actually worried about over-regulating movies and art films with love scenes, which makes sense. It's California. The film industry is kind of based in Los Angeles, Hollywood, so the California Supreme Court doesn't want to decimate its own industry. It's very conscious of what that industry needs. But since then, a string of cases that deemed porn as free speech, they will regurgitate that same line of thinking. This court case set a precedent. The People versus Freeman set up this pornographic protection under the Bill of Rights. Porn stars are paid to act while prostitutes are paid for sex. Porn performers might engage in sex as part of their art, but they're following a script. And sex in a movie or a photograph, that's artistic expression, which is then protected under the First Amendment and the Bill of Rights. Since that ruling took place in California, porn has flourished in the Golden State ever since, until recently. In fact, California, specifically in the LA area, there's a lot of porn industry. There's, behind-the-scenes talent, people like grips and writers, shooters, people who know how to do lighting and set design. There's also, pretty girls moving to LA all the time, men moving to LA, new faces, fresh people. There's also great weather in LA. You can't doubt it. It's nice all year round, so you can shoot in all these different conditions. But suddenly, California is changing. Production studios are pulling out, so to speak. And in the last few years, that's because STDs have become a hot-button topic in the porn industry. In 2013 and 2014, there were some AIDS scares in the porn industry when stars tested positive. Porn stars aren't necessarily required to wear prophylactics, and a lot of directors and porn industry people have debates about whether or not it's appropriate for a porn star to go and put on a condom. So steps were taken to protect these actors and actresses. A California bill statewide that would have criminalized the production of pornography without condoms died in committee last year in 2014. But 60 to 70% of U.S. porn films were shot in L.A. County, so a circuit court in L.A. County upheld an earlier existing law which required L.A. County porn companies to have and to provide protection for their stars. This was devastating for some of these porn industry companies. Film shoot permits issued in L.A. dropped from 485 in 2012 to just 40 the next year in 2013. And then in 2014, the number of permits issued in Clark County, Nevada, just outside of Las Vegas, was over 400. The porn industry was moving somewhere where they didn't have to provide protection for their actors. At least 3 major production companies have moved to Las Vegas where there is no mandatory condom law, and those 3 companies produce at least 60% of all the porn in the U.S., says Dan Leal, owner of Immoral Productions. Now, without getting too involved in this, if you think about it as an actor and then a production house, it seems kind of silly to say, okay, you have to go do these stunts, but we're not going to put down mats. We're not going to give you wires. We're not going to have a safety inspector there. This is sort of the same idea. You should be able to provide testing for your actors if they're going to have to do something that requires them to do something dangerous. But you know what? Sometimes it doesn't matter what you have to do in the studio or where the studio is to do the dirty, right? 10 years ago, the highest paid porn stars were the ones on the cover of DVD cases, and before that, VHS cases, and before that, at adult movie theaters. 5 years ago, it was the ladies on the banners of websites, advertising all over the internet. But today, a lot of the top earners are just in their own bedrooms with a webcam. Cam girls are hugely popular, and the New York Times reports that pornography in the United States earns around $5 billion per year. Of course, numbers vary. Piracy from online porn has decimated what used to be a mail-order specialty shop or website business, and now annual revenue from webcamming tops $1 billion. That's 20% of the whole industry, and all you need is a laptop computer in a bedroom. Cam girls, in the top of their game, can earn $300 an hour. Of course, that number wildly fluctuates, and nobody really knows exactly how much they're earning because it's private information. They're just contracting with these websites. Models credit their earnings with interaction to the fans. They're forming relationships with these people. And they also have new ways to interact with those people, and technology is pushing that barrier forward even further. Not only can cam girls talk to you via the webcam and the chat room on that website, but what if you get their Snapchat? You follow them on Twitter, you go on their Instagram, you get access to call them, or any number of other ways to interact. And we're going to get to some of the crazier ones in our next episode. So what do y'all think? When I say that porn stars are actors and they're protected by the First Amendment, what do you think of that? Why don't you tell us down in the comments? Or you can come find me on Twitter. I'm at Trace Dominguez, or you can tag the show. The show is at TestTube. Keep coming back here for more TestTube Plus. Again, make sure you subscribe so you get all of our episodes, and we will see you tomorrow.